on it.
What's up, everyone? We're here live from the Resocial event. There's a lot going on. It's really exciting, especially this. That's exciting. Say hi. Everyone say hi. There's someone we know.
I hope the world doesn't hear what I'm saying. It's very personal.
Yeah, it's beautiful. We're really excited about the genuine conversation we're about to have. The guests are incredible. I mean, the creative inspiration we're going to get here, I think, is just really approaching this from a different direction. And we're super excited. This is what the table looks like. I think it's beautiful. We're going to be asking such cool conversational questions. Lauren Holiday, that's what's up. Kristen. Yeah, so we got everybody here. Excited to share with you what.
Tobin and Preston and I with the starting our new company, but just to be in the presence of so many different kind of people from different backgrounds that look different, that have different views, that will bring something different to the table. I always say one of my most favorite things about being an athlete has nothing to do with sports. It's actually the opportunity. The bigger we get, the more we get to get out of sports and meet other people from different walks of life. And really, we've got major problems right now, and I feel like this group of people just has so much sort of, I guess, social cachet and influence and positivity. You can just feel the vibe, everyone like talking, and it just seems so natural. So to try to come together and at least have a conversation on how we can all be better and work together to try to move progress forward. And I always say, I feel like every person has a personal responsibility to make this world a better place in whatever way that they can. We just happen to be blessed with a lot of social ability, and some people are famous, and some people are athletes and musicians and artists and influence in their own right. And I feel like we have an amazing ability to really change things right now. I think we're at an incredible moment where people coming together like this, trying to just really extend themselves and say, what can we do together? What can we do on our own to try to make this world a better place? So hopefully everyone enjoys the food and the company and the conversation. There'll be sort of some, I think, conversation starters, question starters around the table. But again, thank you so much, everyone, for being here. This is like a highlight. I think people always ask, like, what's been the most exciting thing about winning the World Cup? And it's stuff like this, getting to be outside of soccer and actually being with people who are going to change the world. So thank you, everyone, for being here. And yeah, cheers. Cheers.
You're the best people.
Great.
Are we doing the questions now?
Awesome.
Yeah, there's some sort of question.
So around the table, hi everyone, I'm Tobin. Around the table, we have a bunch of kind of questions that obviously you can kind of take and, you know, riff off of the questions and kind of make them your own. But I guess I'll kick it off with one that's pretty easy. I feel like we're really blessed to have people from really different industries and walks of life. And our whole idea is to hear people's perspectives, you know, because our realities are so different from each other, and our influences are so different. So I think the power is combining them and listening to each other's voices and raising them up. That's so important. And I think there's so many people that want to be heard. And I think for us, this is an intimate way to be heard and to then share that voice with the rest of the world. So this is kind of like a family style dinner where we get to come in and we get to kind of challenge each other and be like, how can you be better? How can I be better? How can I help you? And I think those types of kind of rubbing each other and against each other and for each other is the way that we can kind of expand, you know, this idea of goodness and kindness and influence that we have in the most positive way possible. So I'd love to hear your voices. I'd love to be challenged. And I hope that, you know, just from simple questions, we can create really really powerful dialect and responses. So I guess I'll kick it off and be brave. I would say be brave and be bold in your answers and the things that you want to say, because, you know, we want to hear people, you know, we want to hear stories and reasons and, you know, kind of be compelled. I think we should all leave here compelled to be a little bit different, like Pino said, to be better. So I will kick it off. And the question that goes out to the whole group is, what direction would you want your industry to go? In what way would you want to reinvent your industry, whether it's through culture or through relationships or through different ways? Kind of take that and maybe stew on it. Maybe somebody already wants to go for it, but yeah.
I'll start. No, I think that's a dope question, because I feel like that's where we're all supposed to be at right now. It's more so challenging ourselves to like move forward and see what we want to do, rather than like what we're currently doing. But for me, I'm a musician. For those of you who didn't know, Chica, hi.
Yeah.
I'm a rapper. And in terms of where my industry is at right now, it's not really stagnant, but it's in a place where I feel like it could use a lot more representation. Even in terms of like content and what we give to each other and like what messages we're trying to perpetuate and those that we're trying to deconstruct. And so I feel like it's important for me as an artist to, in wanting my industry to be better, to sit and be like, what am I contributing? Like, what messages am I putting forth? Like, what is my overarching theme and who I am, what I'm giving to my audience? Because ultimately, people who admire us come to us for where they think that they should go as well. And so if we're trying to be leaders, we have to be better personally. And so I think that each day in being an artist, I get to have the personal responsibility and also privilege and task of checking myself and reevaluating where I am personally in order to then shine that light onto the path that I'm trying to create and ultimately move my industry towards like what I think it needs, which is more openness, which is more respect for women, maybe, which is also more, you know exactly. But yeah, I think in that I personally have to challenge myself daily to be better in order to for real push the agenda that I think that we also need to kind of adopt and make it happen.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Should I go? I work in TV. I work in film. I would like to see my industry become more interested in the work that it takes to create inclusion in a diverse workspace than they are in the conversation and the idea of it. Seems like all we do is talk about the ideas. We talk about ways in which we can do it, but we're not actually doing it. Every year we see the same result of the same number of shows and the same number of films and jobs that exist for people of color, for women, for queer people in the space that I work in. And I think it's time to move the conversation from the conversation to actually doing it. And I know I've encountered a lot of high-level executives and people who have ideas that are either outdated or not really in the position or know enough people to actually help them move that conversation forward into actual action. And so in a space where you're creating TV shows and movies that influence the way people think about other people, the way people think about women, the way people think about queer people, the way people think about disabled people, I think we need to be more active in our approach to doing the things that it takes to create the space. Like I've sold shows and I've heard people say, in networks, at studios that we own, we already have a black show. We already have this one thing. And I think it's sad that even in 2019, we still think there can be only one, that there's one voice to represent an entire group of people. And every time we give someone the opportunity to create something special, like in Atlanta, or like, I mean, these and Mara are sitting down there at the end of the table. First-hand example of what happens when you give people a voice and give people a platform to connect with people like them. And so that, for me, the biggest thing that I would like to see my industry do is to become active. Like, stop talking about it and let's like find a way to expand our industry.
That's awesome. Thank you.
I'd also like to piggyback on that because, yes, it's an interesting thing. You know, we're in the midst of this Me Too movement. We're having conversations about women and power and voices, and nothing's really changed for us. The conversation's great, but the action needs to come. And I think it's really important that any of us who either has been marginalized for who we are or who is in community with people who are marginalized more drastically than we are advocates for them. Because I'm also tired of any friend of mine, whether it's a person in my community who is a person of color, a person who is in the queer community, a person who is in the disabled community, only being asked to speak on their blackness, on their queerness, on their disability. I want to see our industry tell stories about people that don't involve their hardship if they're marginalized people in society. I want to see them succeed. I want to see them be in love. I want to see them enjoy. And I think it requires any of us with any kind of proximity to the white male heteronormative patriarchy to also advocate for the people whose proximity is farther away from ours. You know, there's a big show that's about to come out, and one of the lead characters is deaf, and I got a call from a friend of mine who is a huge advocate in the deaf community who said, deaf actors were not auditioned for this role. And if the role is going to go to the person who did the best audition for the director, I get that. But it has to be on those of us who are hearing. It has to be on those of us who are abled. It has to be on those of us who have any kind of proximal privilege to advocate for the people who don't. And so, just yes, like conversation over, time for action, let's go. So sick of talking.
Right. Yeah. Awesome.
I'm just ironic because I just talked.
I'll build a little bit on that. First of all, there are 1,000 ways to answer that question, and I'd love to have a conversation about all of those different paths that I think that we can travel to achieve that. But I think also that instilling the possibility of leadership at every level inside of an organization is important. It's not just about those who are in a position of privilege or power, but making sure that that comes at every single level inside the organization, and that everyone has a voice, and beyond the voice, the ability to act, and that we, as an industry or as companies or as individuals, empower that action to happen every single day. I think it's critically important. I happen to represent a creative industry. There are a lot of creative industries around the table. I think that we have a huge opportunity because I think that we can approach things very differently than have been done in the past. And I think that we need to be better storytellers, as you say, and I think that the stories that need to be revealed are not the ones that have conventionally been told or told in the same ways. And I think it's about letting people inside the organizations tell those stories too. You know, I think companies have for so long protected their image and protected the brand that they are by restricting people from being able to speak. And I think in my industry, which is fashion, I think something remarkable is happening. It's an industry that has historically told you what to wear, when to wear it, how to wear it. And instead, there is this revolution happening now inside where expressing yourself and allowing creativity to further express who you are is starting to define us. And I think we have to continue to capitalize on that. I think as companies also, we have to be willing to take a stand and do things that we were not comfortable doing before. And I'll stop there.
I think that point is really important. It's like, if you have some kind of power, you have to use it for good. I think we see this in our fight with our federations. Like, we're literally doing everything that we can all the time. We call them out in the media, we're educating ourselves, we're pursuing them, we're doing all these things, but ultimately, FIFA News are very powerful. And so you need those people to make those bold moves, and whether that they're pressured to make that or not, if you have that kind of power, I think it's really important to sort of stick your neck out there and maybe take a hit in the short term, but I think in the long term, it's like, what kind of signal are we saying to everyone? You know, is the fashion industry saying, if you're good enough, you can make it, or it's like, if you know the right person, then you can make it. Which I think that's starting to change. So people in your position, I think that's really important to, for you to put your skin in the game as well, because other people don't have a choice of whether their skin is in the game or not. Yeah. So just piggybacking off what you said.
Just adding Adam Schiff, a member of Congress. I guess my industry would be the Congress.
Oh, God.
In terms of what I would do to change that industry, we would need a very long lunch. But I think, today is probably appropriate to at least for me to think about what's happened in Dayton and El Paso. And there are a lot of tragedies about what happened this week, and actually that was just 2 of 4 mass shootings this week. One of the tragedies is that a lot of this is eminently preventable. This doesn't have to happen. We don't have to accept this. And the other tragedy is that this has been, I think, some of this has been egged on by a lot of the divisive and racist rhetoric. The attacks on immigrants and migrants and Muslims and people of color, which makes it a little worse. I guess how I would change my industry is I work with so many people who are so focused on how they get to Congress or how they stay in Congress that they forget why they wanted to be there. I don't see the point of being there if you can do something about these problems and you're not willing to do so. And so, I'd love to see more of my colleagues willing to take a risk and do the right thing to try to bring a halt to this epidemic of violence. It just shouldn't be that hard. I do want to thank our hosts, as I was mentioning Megan earlier. Thank you for giving us something to cheer about. Particularly dark time. Well, we're grateful.
I'll add a little something. I'm a documentary filmmaker, and so I'm not going to speak necessarily particularly about the entertainment industry, since we're all in it in some way, shape, or form. But I think it's really important to think about mentorship, because if we don't get that younger generation, they can't be it unless they see it. And unless they know that women can be recording engineers or rock star athletes, they're not going to reach for that. And so I think it's super important for every industry to reach down and show, and not just tell and preach.
I was just saying that to Sophia. For my generation to grow up with people like the founders here and other female founders, and see that as an example has been such a life-changing thing, and I can't imagine my life without that. So I'm so grateful for the women ahead of me who have been able to pave the way.
I'll say something. Hi, I'm Jill. I'm one of the founders of the Cold Woo! My industry is private chefs. It's very different than restaurant chefs, but it all sort of falls under the culinary industry. And I think you guys are all interested in this. I'm an Albert, so non-service-related job here. But the service industry is completely driven by windows. And to be a restaurant chef is really good for your ego. There's a lot of positive reinforcement, there's a lot of negative stuff going on that always want to be funny. So when chefs decide to become safe and start working in the private home rather than these crazy hours for 12, 14 hours a day, there's a huge stigma attached to it, to becoming a personal chef. There's this whole wellness revolution going on in every industry, except the culinary industry. So it's a big thing that I think about as the founder of this company that staffs private chefs. We have 80 in New York and 5 out here, and then we have a lot more out there involved. But it's my small way of thinking about women providing kind of the same job. In this industry really just are dynamic. And I hope that what I get to see in years to come is that through my business and through this wellness revolution that's sort of seeping through all of industries, maybe it will get to the culinary industry. And maybe, their chefs will really understand that there's a lot more than to working in restaurants. And also enjoy your life.
Thank you.
I have something to say about service, because I actually feel like that's a bummer that it would be looked at that way, because we are actually all created and intended to be of service. We are all created and intended to take the gift that we've been given and give that back, and that should be in the form of service. And so I feel like we need to redefine what service is and should be. And I think for me, it's hard to, really pinpoint a specific industry that I'm in. I'm in the fitness industry, but I'm also a motivational coach. So I've found a way to combine the two. For me, in the fitness industry, what I would love to see change is that we get to a point where it's not about how we look, but that we get strong enough in our body to house the gift. That it's not about how defined we are or how we look, but it's literally encouraging people to be strong enough in their body to do their life and to do the call on their life. And so for me, it's about incorporating that into physicality. But just going back to what you say, I think it is on all of us to take the gift and to do right by what we've been entrusted. And if we are truly doing that, we are living in service. So we need to understand that.
Yeah.
So, hi, I'm Kristen. I'm one of the founders of Redefining, and I think I just want to just pause and say, this is so incredible. So thank you guys all for your ideas and your mind share. Obviously, we started in football, we started in soccer, and we just felt like there was so much more to be done, and that we had this incredible opportunity to go outside ourselves, go outside our industry, and to start talking about things that we really cared about and using that platform in a more material way. And so like what I've heard today is like, let's just stop talking about it and start doing things. I've heard mentorship, advocacy, policy, creating new industries where people feel better. And I think these are just like beautiful ideas of like how the conversation can become action. So the idea of today, just to be a little logistical, is like everyone has one of these little cards, and on the back, you can write your own question that you would like to discuss and put it in one of the bowls. And then Tobin's gonna draw them and keep questions coming. So we can just eat and chat, and then when there's another question that comes up, Tobin, you're up. Awesome. Sound good? Yep. Sounds good.
Just real quick, I was like, I mean, I have not for sure. But in terms of me, like in my industry, like feeling like I want to change and, kind of counter the status quo. For me, visibility in being a rap artist and also just a musician in general, especially being a queer woman, it's all one thing. But there's only one way to be queer, and a lot of times that comes with the same misogynist rhetoric that is passed from generation to generation before. And so for me, even in terms of the way that I write my music and the way that I approach it, I want to, in that way, change the narrative and make it so that things and people who are like me are more, not expected, but we don't seem to be like a commodity, you know what I mean? Like, it shouldn't be a weird thing for me to, like, come into a space where there's, like, it's a male-dominated industry and respect the women. Like, that shouldn't be a novel concept, and it shouldn't be something that is looked at as, like, lame, or like something that's looked at as, like, oh, she's just trying to, like, pander to X, Y, and Z. Like, there's certain ways to get your point across without being, like, the enemy of progress. And also, I think, even in terms of, like, body politics surrounding, like, what a rapper should look like, or, like, what a success story looks like in terms of, like, people who look like me and people who don't. I think to thrive in my industry a lot right now, it's based on sex appeal, which isn't a bad thing at all, but it's based on, like, being sold to, like, the male gaze, and also sold to, like, the female gaze as well. Like, we want the women to want to be us, and then the men to want to sleep with us. Like, that's been the rhetoric for so long, and for me to come into the space that I'm in and not want that attention, and to not look like everyone else, and not that there's anything wrong with that, but to be vehemently myself, and to not really change and like want to alter that, and like want to play to both sides. I think that's something that is something I'm very proud of, and that I want to continue, and I want to see other people do. Oh, thank you. I want to see other women and also men do that. Like right now, I feel like I'm in a semi-privileged spot because with hip-hop being sometimes overtly misogynist and things, coming into a space where I like women, and I'm speaking about women, like a lot of people are gonna play to that. It's like the norm, but even in terms of visibility for like queer men, I think that's something that needs to happen for them. And in order to take certain steps, you have to be able to understand the narrative that's happening currently with queer women. And I like that we all have privileges, even being marginalized people, but my privilege in that way is that I get to now shine a light on everyone else who is just like me, or who just may be a different gender, or have a different type of expression, or X, Y, Z. I think it's really important for people like me to be very vocal and overt with what we're doing. So, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. It's amazing. Yeah, that's all I want to say. So good.
I feel like for me, all the people in power are scared to death every time I get a microphone. Y'all don't know, neither do I. Very interesting position of being able to play a sport and represent the country all the time, which there's few things that America loves more than winning and sports and America. So to kind of put all of that together and then to be able to use it the way that we have and talk about the things that we have and bring things into our sport, which is predominantly rich and white, that would
look deeper, and can we be more scrutinous of the world around us? And that's one thing I love about my relationship with Tina, is like every time I have an opportunity, I try to challenge you.
That's great.
Yeah, and we get and we love it.
Yeah, I love it.
It's always easier to affirm each other, to just go with it. And so it's just like a simple act of every single time there's a decision, just pushing back, just reconsidering, reimagining, and then just doing a little bit better in that moment.
That's beautiful. I love that. I think we should all be around people that hold us to more, that hold us to higher. Friends don't let friends settle for less. And just as community leaders and people that influence and impact, we would be remiss not to use our platforms and allow people to settle for less, and we've just gotten complacent with less, and I'm over that.
Robert Kennedy once said, most people look at the way the world is and ask why. I look at the way the world has never been and say why not. And that's true for people in government as well as people in private industry that try to imagine what could be and ask themselves why not and what do we need to do to make that happen.
And not be what people want, but what they need. Just what do we need? I love that, and being willing to challenge. And we should all have people around us that literally, I think you were saying earlier, like that rub, that iron sharpens iron. Like who are you surrounding yourself with? Are they holding you to that? And then what are you doing with that?
It's really funny because I was having a conversation with the studio last night, and there's very parallel to what we're talking about. And it's in a way not letting the landscape change you while you're trying to change the landscape. Because ultimately a lot of us, like we were just saying, we feel weighed down and we feel like there's only so much we can do being in the positions that we have, but we don't realize that with the voices and the platforms that we've been given, there's so much power there, and there's so much in that there's the gift that lies where we can change the world. That is how we're supposed to be. To be able to bring people in who are like-minded with us, to show them that we're trying to get the proper work done and take the proper steps and create the proper dialogue in order to actually shift things. Because I think a lot of times we ultimately get caught up in, like you said, the conversation of things, and we get caught up in like well, this needs to change, and like the rage politics behind it, because that's all it is. At some point, it just becomes like rage, and we, as people, and as people who've been through traumatic things, especially with our nation and in personal life, we find a home in rage rather than in action, and rather than the actual work that it takes to get done. And so, even me being an artist, like, I can't just stop at being mad and putting that in my lyrics. Like, that's not where it ends. Like, of course, there's so much work that can be done from that, and like inspire so many people by making a song about X, Y, and Z. But what am I doing in my personal life? What am I asking my friends to do? Like, if I hear something that is, like, reverse of what I'm trying to get done, and like in terms of the way that we speak to each other, the way we treat each other, X, Y, and Z, am I gonna be that person who can challenge my friends? Which is like, you guys have that dynamic going on. That's dope. A lot of us are too scared to do that, and it's uncomfortable. And that goes back to the whole doing it when it's not the popular thing. It's really cool to like stand up for what's right when everybody's standing up for what's right. But are you going to be the person who's there when everyone is sitting down and being the one in the crowd? So I really enjoy the fact that this conversation is happening, because I feel like it puts us in a position where we kind of have to look at each other and hold a mirror up to ourselves and be like, what am I actually doing? Like, do I just feel strongly about this, or is this something that I'm actually taking the proper steps and like challenging myself and those around me to actually do?
If you're comfortable, you're not doing enough.
At all.
You should be really uncomfortable.
You should be
Things
anxious
are
all
wild
the
out
time.
right now. You should have massive anxiety all the time. That's doing great. The appropriate level of anxiety.
Everything's blessed, man. No complaints.
Like babies in the show. That's not where we're at.
I think also creating spaces as far as your sphere of influence extends, and for you, it's two things. You were talking about your intimate kind of personal sphere of influence, and also the influence that you have through your music. To create enough, we were talking about safe spaces where people can be that honest with each other and can come with those feelings or those needs or the things that they want to do to create that change, wherever you can, to create an environment where it's safe enough for people to be able to be forward about who they are and what they want to say and how they want to create that change. I think that's really important. So as much as we can do that and create that, either on an intimate, personal scale or what we do professionally, I think is really important.
On that intimate personal scale, as we mentioned, because we're talking about a lot of big picture items, how much the little things matter. Children's Hospital is my district, and I remember being at one of the galas, and they introduced one of the Lakers who has a relationship with the hospital, goes to the hospital quite often, and the CEO was sitting next to me, said that when this athlete goes to the hospital and meets with the kid on the day of their surgery, that kid will remember that day, not as the day they had this horrible, painful surgery, but as the day they met that athlete. And, just by being there, that athlete could give that kid the gift of having a positive, memorable experience at Children's Hospital. That's a tremendous thing, just by being there.
I try to use my platform to reimagine how we are as men, reimagine how